The Twilight Saga, Eclipse, is not just the best of the series.
New what?
Like new vampires.
It's one of the summer's best films.
We're in.
It's epic. 5 stars. Romantic and intense.
I promise to love you forever. We'll protect you, no matter what. Nothing else matters.
The Twilight Saga, Eclipse, rated PG-13, in theaters and IMAX June 30th.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. As I said, we're at the halfway point of the year of 2010, July 2nd, with 2 movies to open up on 4th of July weekend. And yeah, let's start off with the biggest new release of both of them, and that is, of course, the third installment of the Twilight series, the Twilight Saga Eclipse. In this one, Bella is played by Kristen Stewart, is once again caught in a love triangle between Edward and Jacob, Robert Pattinson, and Taylor Lautner, when Victoria, played by Bryce Dallas Howard, wants revenge on Bella and Edward for the death of her lover from the first 2 films, so she puts together a new team of vampires to face off against Bella for revenge. And now that I've seen this film, I can easily say that if someone forced me to watch any of these movies again, this one would be the one. I want to tell you guys something. When I saw this, mostly as a blind watch. I mean, there was literally no other new releases out there, except for the one we're going to get to later on, but I figured, you know what the hell, I'll go check this one out. I mean, if I gotta see one of them, I gotta figure this one can't be that. I gotta figure that this one can't be that bad. 'Cause this was the first one I ever saw. I didn't see the other one until very late on down the road, and much to my surprise, this one was actually kind of not bad. It's not a great movie, but it certainly is the top of the Twilight movies. I mean, this is the one where they got it right for just a little bit. I mean, I think it's just because David Slade, the director of 30 Days of Night and Hard Candy, came in there and said, you know, I'm not going to give these teens the same old... I'm not going to just entertain the teen audiences for this. I'm going to entertain the parents who are being forced to come to this bullshit. Because, yeah, it really does feel like David Slade told everybody, listen, you can do what you want to do, but I'm going to every up the script here so the parents and the people who are going to be dragged to this are going to have something to watch from this. Because apparently, I don't know what happened here, but David Slade came in and just really woke everybody up on how you're supposed to do this. I mean, this really is not as bad as I was expecting it to be. I mean, the visual effects are definitely a lot better than they were in New Moon. I mean, New Moon had some really, really bad visual effects to it, but this is the one where they got it right. And I mean, the other ones failed miserably at it. We actually get a history of these characters in general. They get well crafted and explain storylines about what their scenarios are. And you can tell that Slade punched up the script big time to include a lot of great in-jokes here. I mean, there's one of the biggest complaints about these movies is that the werewolves always have their shirts off, and even Robert Pattinson basically delivers the line is just like, you know, does that guy ever put a shirt on? It's just like, the movie is clearly aware. The people who wrote the script for this is clearly aware of the problems that many people have with the other Twilight movies, and it's showing in this movie. The most shocking thing about this whole movie in general is the fact that Taylor Lautner is actually pretty good in this. I mean, I was actually kind of surprised how good he was in this movie. I mean, he was the one who was really carrying the best material from this. I mean, it's the one time in the history of his career that he actually does give it his all as a grown-up. I mean, technically he's kind of a teenager at this point, but at the same time, it's really a lot better than some of the other crap he's been involved in. And, you know, everybody in here is doing the best they can here. I mean, not everything about the movie is great overall. Of course, Bella and Edward are still a couple you can't really buy into. Not really because of the fault of Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart. God bless them. They're trying their best to save this material, but we've seen time and time again that they're good actors, just caught with terrible material. This one is the least bad of the material they've been given in this, but it's still something where you really still can't buy them as a couple in general. If anything, you want to see Bella get together with Jacob, because he's the one who's actually going to be the better lover, and actually is somebody who is trying their best to act like a normal person in general. It's just like, I also think it's kind of odd that the vampires are apparently made of glass. Every time they get killed, they get shattered like glass. It's just like it's just like, and also the vampires and werewolves kill other vampires. You see them pull their heads off, but they look and sound like glass. It's just like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And again, like, why do the werewolves always have their shirts off? I mean, it's just like, it could literally be snowing, and it's just like, dude, you could be looking at one of these guys, it's just like, dude, It's 12 degrees outside. What do you think you are, living in Pittsburgh? You're supposed to wear a sweatshirt and shorts when you're in it's in the snow up here. I mean, that's literally what we do around here. You ever seen the meme of the guy walking around in sweatshirt with a sweatshirt but shorts on? That's me. I mean, I live in Western Pennsylvania. That's pretty much what we do up here in the snow, because it's just like, hey, our stomachs, our body and chest can be warm, but our legs, we don't worry about them getting cold. I mean, we're like Elsa from Frozen. The cold never bothers us anyway. But yeah, Kristen Stewart's fine in here too, but at the same time, it doesn't help that she's playing her character's kind of a fucking bitch, douchebag. I mean, that's literally what I wrote in my review for this. That, yeah, Bella is not the best female role model that these movies keep trying to elevate as like a strong, independent female. It's just like, no, she's a cock-teasing bitch, and granted, she's not the worst thing about this, but there are still moments in there that make you want to pull your goddamn hair out because of how annoying she could be in this. But again, not Kristen Stewart's fault. She's doing the best she can, but the character just sucks. But I mean, this is definitely, if you're going to be forced to watch one of these Twilight movies, this is the one to do it. It felt like the director came in and said, hey, my name's attached to this. I'm going to give you a good movie, whether you like it or not. And everything in here is a lot better than it was before this, and will be after this, because Breaking Dawn's parts 1 and 2 come up in the next couple of years, and they somehow went back to the basics and somehow made it even worse than they did before. And that one has an Academy Award-winning screenwriter as the director, Bill Condon, who gave us Dreamgirls, and it's just like he also directed Dreamgirls too. But overall, this is the best of the series. I won't say it's a great movie per se, but like I said, if you're being forced to watch one of these movies, like if you are on a date and somebody says, hey, let's watch a Twilight movie, let's just pretend like you don't know what you're talking about, what these movies are, and look at one of the movies in there and go like, how about this one, Eclipse? I think it makes it worth it in the end. I mean, that's probably that's just my thinking on that per se, but with all that said, that's the Twilight Saga Eclipse. Now, you would think the next movie, M. Night Shyamalan's adaptation of The Last Airbender, Avatar The Last Airbender, would be pretty good. I mean, the trailers look pretty badass.
He is the last of his kind. All that remains of a once powerful nation. Some think he is a myth. Some believe he is the chosen one, who will bring balance to a world at war. And some will stop at nothing to destroy him.
I mean, yeah, they did a great job of selling the movie over a year before it came out. That was put out in front of Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. I mean, they were building this up as to be the next big blockbuster. And such a good trailer, too. Like, you have Aang inside of this temple, and then he's blowing all this air out, and you see all these people coming up to try to kill him, all these ships coming to kill him. Like, it sounds like they're heading in the right direction. And then you see the movie, and you get a movie that is one of the biggest insults to a series that I've ever seen in my entire life. I have delved into this movie in length. This is my 7th worst movie that I've ever seen in my life, so I won't really go too much into it. I'll just kind of give you a sum up here. I mean, this is basically just a Cliff Note version of the first season, where the world is divided into 4 kingdoms, each represented by the elements they harness, and under the supervision of the Avatar, a piece that lasted there, a link to the spirit world, and the only being capable of mastering the use of all 4 elements. When the young Avatar Aang disappears, the Fire Nation launches an attack to eradicate all members of the Air Nomads. And later on down the road, siblings Katana and Sokka from the Southern Water Tribe find a mysterious boy trapped beneath the ice outside their village. He's revealed to be Aang, Avatar and the last of the Air Nomads. Swearing to protect the Avatar, Katara and Sokka journey with him to the Northern Water Kingdom in his quest to master waterbending and eventually fulfill his destiny of once again restoring peace to the world. But as they inch nearer to the goal, this group must evade Prince Zuko, the exiled son of Lord Ozawa, Commander Zhao, the Fire Nation's military leader, and the tyrannical onslaught of the evil Fire Lord himself. Which they show in the movie, and if you've seen the series, you know that this thing, they grabbed a great actor. Cliff Curtis is a good actor, but he is not threatening as the Fire Lord like Mark Hamill's character was in the show. And that's the biggest problem with this. M. Night Shyamalan has said he's a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I mean, he had in the last movie he did, The Happening, as like a little as a backpack as one of the in there. So he's trying to make the argument that he clearly knows what he's doing because he loves the series, and you know, everyone's waiting to see what he can do that's completely different from his usual works. And I'll say this, it is completely different from his usual works because it's even more of a shittier movie than a lot of the worst movies he's ever made. I mean, what more can you say? This is fucking awful. This guy who claims to be a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender doesn't even know how powerful the nations are here, the abilities of these people are doing. Like, they show scenes where, you know, they have these groups of people together, and they're about to do an attack, and they throw one rock at the Fire Nation. When in the show, that same group was able to blow up a fucking tank. How do you go from blowing up a tank to throwing one measly rock? Like, and the problems are just all over the place, from the fact that he has these pronunciations for all the characters. I'm sorry, it's not Katara and Sokka, it's supposed to be Katara and Sokka. Like, it's something like that. And, you know, General Iroh, like General Iroh, like that type of stuff. And it's just like, none of it makes any sense whatsoever. And the actors they get to play these characters are so wooden and so bland. Like, oh my god, can you please just fucking emote for once in your life? And you know the movie doesn't take itself seriously, where you literally have a character who has hair like a penis. Like, you know exactly what I'm talking about if you've seen this movie. Like, one scene in the movie is the perfect definition of how much this guy has no idea what the fuck he's doing. This is absolutely one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life. And this is coming from somebody who never saw the show before this, and it made me want to see the show afterwards to really see how much of a screw-up this was. I mean, it was like that with The Dark Knight a couple years ago. I never saw Batman the Animated Series until I watched The Dark Knight. And I did. I ended up really loving that show after that point. This made me give Avatar: The Last Airbender a lot more praise to it, and actually made me realize that, yeah, there is a lot of potential for some good materials here, but good lord, not with this guy here. I'm fully convinced M. Night Shyamalan made this movie and claimed to be the big fan it was because he got so scared. He was so much of a chicken because somebody was able to make him a better material than anything he could have ever done. I'm more than 100% convinced that M. Night Shyamalan did this on purpose to make The Last Airbender look like a terrible piece of entertainment, which it's not. If you've never seen this show, if you've never seen The Legend of Korra, watch the shows themselves. You can avoid the live-action Netflix show, because that one doesn't really do it a whole lot better, but what more do you got to say about this? The Last Airbender is a steaming pile of garbage. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. I've gone into this in great detail before. The video's out there on this channel. You can go check that out, but what more do you got to say? M. Night Shyamalan, fuck you for ruining The Last Airbender for so many people, but hey, there is a positive to this. More people ended up loving that show because of what M. Night Shyamalan did. So I guess there's that. I mean, you gotta have the yin to your yang in this situation, or a con to a pro, whatever metaphor you want to use here.
Despicable me. Despicable me.
Despicable Me.
Despicable Me. July 2010.
And thus the downfall began. Okay, not really, but I'll tell more than that in just a little bit here. But welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 4 films released on July 9th, 2010. And the first movie we have here, the biggest new release of them all, is, of course, Despicable Me. And I say downfall Mostly in the fact that, like I said, the Minions basically became the unofficial mascot of Universal, pushing Woody Woodpecker to the side, like pushing him like out of existence pretty much after this point, which really sucks. But you know, it's been a while since I've seen this movie, and I really wasn't the biggest fan of this movie in particular when it came out. I didn't hate it, but I just didn't like it either. Have my thoughts on it changed since then? Let's take a look and see. The film follows Felonious Gru, played by Steve Carell, who is a longtime supervillain who adopts 3 orphan girls to use as pawns in a villainous scheme, but reluctantly develops an emotional attachment to them. He's trying to outwit another supervillain in the making, played by Jason Segel, and you have a cast that also includes Russell Brand, Kristen Wiig, Miranda Cosgrove, Will Arnett, Danny McBride, Jack McBrayer, and Julie Andrews. And as I said before, this is the movie that introduces us to the Minions. The characters that are basically the Scrat of this Despicable Me series, which coincidentally, Chris Melandres is the producer on this movie, and he's the guy, of course, behind the Ice Age movies and Horton Hears a Who. So yeah, this is pretty much their Scrat, and not only is he the mascot for the mascot of Illumination, they basically become the mascot for Universal because you see more of them than you do any of the characters from the Woody Woodpecker universe, which again, really fucking sucks, but I'm not the one running Universal at this point, but to be honest, I've never really been a big fan of the Despicable Me movies. If we're being honest, honestly, Illumination didn't start off on the best note. The first couple of years of their movies in general, for me, never really went anywhere. I really did not like most of their movies in general. I mean, most of the Despicable Me movies were not bad movies. They were just films that I really could never get into them. It's funny because the first one that I actually liked from Illumination was, of all things, the Minions spin-off movie they did, with the one with Sandra Bullock and John Hamm in the cast. That was the first one where it's just like, hey, there's actually something here. Because before this, they had done the 2 Despicable Me movies, which the second one is the better one, but not by that much. Then they did Hop the next year after this movie comes out, and then The Lorax, which is one of my worst movies of all time. I think that's it. I think that's all they had at that point. But then after Minions, that's when they started to get good again. That's when they started to get good at that point. Not good again, but, you know, The Secret Life of Pets was really good. I actually was really surprised at how much I enjoyed Sing. Despicable Me 3 is probably my favorite one of the series, but even then, I'm still not entirely that great about it, supportive about it. But The Grinch I thought was pretty good. I thought The Secret Life of Pets 2 was, not as good as the original. Sing 2 I thought was pretty good. Minions The Rise of Gru was okay. Super Mario Brothers movie and Migration were really the 2 best films they had at this point. And then they went back down to the bottom of the barrel with Despicable Me 4. That is where the series is currently at right now. Kind of just nothing there except the fact that, hey, we've made another movie because these characters make a shit ton of money for us here at Universal. And that's pretty much all you could say about the movies in general. The Minions really are the main stars of this, and the ones that even have any kind of longevity to it, and not really the main characters from this. And even though I say I'm not a big fan of the first movie in general, I will admit, when I see the movie on television, there's literally nothing else on, I'll pop it on, and it's just like, you know, there are a lot of things about it that I do kind of enjoy. I think the animation overall is pretty good. I do like some of the ideas that they have here. I thought the climax overall was pretty good, where you have... The whole point of the movie is Gru has a plan to steal the moon. He has a shrinking ray that he's going to use, but the other villain, played by Jason Segel, wants it and gets it in the end, but not realizing that the professors basically tell him that this thing's only going to be small for a short amount of time. We see it early on in the movie, so... Because one of the trying to think of what it was. I think it was the pyramids they shrunk beforehand or something like that starts to grow, and then you start realizing that, yeah, this moon is not going to last very long here. And so while the villain's trying to get away with the kids, the moon starts to grow inside the ship, and it leads into this really fun little action sequence in general, and a fun little payoff for the way the villain goes out here, which leads into a very good short that premiered in front of the Migration movie a couple years ago. But other than that, though, there's really not much I can say about this movie that's great overall. The story is overall very generic and not really all that amazing. The voice cast is okay here, but again, nothing that incredible, nothing that spectacular. I very rarely got a few laughs out of this movie at all. Like, the fun stuff didn't really come into play until the last, 20-30 minutes for me. I think that's where the movie really did it for me. But other than that, though, there really isn't a whole lot here for me to recommend about it. I'm not a big fan of these movies in general. And like I said, it's funny because, like I said, the ones that I like are the ones that the Minions in, and the only one I like in the Despicable Me series as a whole is the third one, mostly because of Trey Parker. I mean, Trey Parker basically playing a villain. I think that was the only thing that really got me to really like that movie. But other than that, though, none of these Despicable Me movies really did it for me, per se. But I do get it. I do understand why they make money. I do understand why the Minions are so beloved by everybody. They can be funny characters overall. Their shtick can get old pretty quickly, especially with the last Despicable Me movie, where, even though they were still the best part about it, the fourth film just literally had nothing left in the tank, and they're still making these movies one by one. It's just kind of like, you gotta do something a little bit different here, guys, but hey, if it ain't broke, why fix it? They're still making more of these movies, and probably not gonna get any better than where we're at right now, but yeah, overall, Despicable Me, I'm very mixed on the Despicable Me movies. I get why they're very popular with people, but I just never really got into them, per se. Even the ones I like are just kind of like, yeah, just a little bit barely, like, my thumb is barely moving, like, it's literally like this, that type of stuff here. But, I mean, that's really all I got for you on that one. That's Despicable Me, so let's get to some good movies, some real good movies here, including such as our next movie that we have here, and that is Predators.
What's the last thing you remember? All of a sudden there was a light, and then I was falling. Who are you?
I was supposed to be executed 2 days ago.
And I was in combat. So was that.
Black Ops.
Who would do this to us?
We were chosen.
Chosen for what?
We're all brought here for the same purpose. We're being hunted.
What?
This planet is the game preserve. We're the game. Kill them however you can.
Needless to say, The Predator has definitely had a lot more successful movies in its series than the Alien series has, as this is the third installment of the Predator series, a standalone sequel to Predator 2, which then again, Predator 2 was pretty much a standalone sequel to Predator 1, because it didn't have anybody from that first movie in general. But in this film, you have an ensemble that includes Adrian Brody, Topher Grace, Alice Braga, Walton Goggins, and Lawrence Fishburne, as they play a group of proficient killers who have been abducted and placed on a planet that acts as a game preserve for two warring tribes of extraterrestrial predators, leading them to try to survive and look for a way back to Earth. This is directed by Nimrod Antal, who did Vacancy a couple years ago, which is a little bit of an underrated gem of a thriller that came out in 2007, and this is a pretty solid movie overall. I think the acting overall is very good, and the Predator scenes are badass in general. You could definitely tell a lot more effort was being put into this than there was in stuff like, Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection, but this is a film that works very well. It's a film that is very entertaining. It's a film that delivers all you can ask for and then some. Granted, the characters are still kind of cardboard copy and paste from like other movies in the series, not only from this series, but also with the Alien series in general, where you really don't care too much about them. You just want to wait and see what the Predator's going to do to kill them off. But even in the good Alien movies, you still have characters that you want to get behind. And these characters are not bad characters. They're characters that you do want to see accomplish their mission and survive in the end. But at the same time, yeah, it's hard not to look at this and go like, yeah, a little bit more character development could have helped with this, but hey, for Adrian Brody, it was a better movie that he had this summer than Splice. I mean, Splice was a bizarre movie that was very polarizing all across the board. But this is more straightforward to the point. And actually, he does a pretty good job standing up in this movie. He, he's next to guys like Walton Goggins and Lawrence Fishburne, badass action stars in the past. And he's doing a pretty good job hanging in there. I mean, everybody in here is doing a good job hanging in there. The Predator still looks cool. The darker elements of the story look pretty cool as well. It just works. It just works all around. It's a terrific film. I really enjoyed the hell out of it. It still holds up after all this time, and considering what the next Predator movie is going to be after this, yeah, this is definitely the much better movie than Shane Black's The Predator, which you wouldn't think that would be possible, but Shane Black, man, I don't know what happens when he goes to blockbusters, but it just doesn't work out for him as a director on those fronts, because we'll see 2 examples of that within the next decade, but anyway, that is Predators for you. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, the second installment of the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo trilogy, or the Millennium Trilogy, whatever you want to call it, The Girl Who Played with Fire.
This year, one cinematic event captivated audiences across the globe. Now, the girl with the dragon tattoo will play with fire.
She's playing with fire. I apologize for that. The Girl Who Played with Fire, the second film in the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series, with the return of Michael Nyqvist and Noomi Rapace as Noomi Rapace returns as Lisbeth Salander. As she returns to Sweden after spending a year abroad, she falls under the suspicion of having murdered a journalist and his girlfriend, as well as her own social service guardian, Niels Blomman, while Michael Blomqvist tries to find her before the authorities do. And this is directed by Daniel Alfredson, who did not direct the first movie. He actually comes into this and will direct the second film, The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. And it's definitely the weaker of the 3 films in general, but it still works. It's still a very good movie overall, especially if you've read the books that these are based off of, which I did before watching these. I mean, you do get a good sense of the story in general when reading this and seeing them doing a good job of handling it on the big screen. Noomi Rapace is just perfect casting as Lisbeth Salander. I mean, she just owns this role, and she just nails it out of the park. I mean, let's be honest, all of them who played the role of Lisbeth Salander, not just her, but also Rooney Mara and Felicity... No, Claire Foy. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Felicity Jones. No, Claire Foy in The Girl with the Dragon Eyes. The last one that just came out, or was that the next one? No, the next one's Girl with the Kicked Hornet's Nest. The fourth one, I think, is The Girl with the Dragon Eyes, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. The Girl in the Spider's Web. I'm sorry, The Girl in the Spider's Web. That made more sense, but I do like most of these movies overall. But this one, definitely one of the weaker ones in the installment of the series. Definitely the weaker of this trilogy that we're going to get to. Because we have The Girl Who Kicks the Hornet's Nest that comes out, I believe, in the fall. Let me see if I can find it here. October 2010. So we have a little bit here in the U.S. before we get to that, but I really enjoy this movie. The Girl Who Played with Fire, not as good as The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, definitely the weakest of the 3 films in the Millennium Trilogy, but still good enough to watch on its own, on its own merits, I should say. Not on its own, but I really enjoy it. I still enjoy it a lot. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, and that is The Kids Are Alright.
My mom's had a kid with your son?
I do too.
Liking gay?
Right, I love lesbians.
I get it. He's their biological father. Like, we're not enough or something?
Go easy on the wine, hon. Singles micromanaging.
I feel like he's taking over my family.
Marriage is hard. Two people, year after year. Sometimes you stop seeing the other person.
Annette Bening, Julianne Moore, Mark Ruffalo. An unconventional family. The Kids Are All Right. Directed by Lisa Cholodenko. Rated R.
Man, Julianne Moore ate a lot of carpet in 2010. I mean, this is the second movie we've seen from her this year where she's in a lesbian relationship. The first one, of course, was Chloe, and now The Kids Are All Right. So take that for what you will. But in this movie, she and Annette Bening play a couple with a daughter who's on her way to college and a son played by Josh Hutcherson. The daughter's played by Leah Wasikowska from Alice in Wonderland. The son is a good athlete, but maybe hanging out with the wrong pal. Laser wants Joni to find out who their biological father is, a sperm donor, without initially telling their mothers. They meet him. He's played by Mark Ruffalo, who's a cool guy with a motorcycle, a restaurant, and an organic garden. Although Nick does not like the idea of the five of them getting together a few times and the kids spending time with Paul, he basically decides to hire Jules, who's had many brief vocations, to landscape her backyard, and Nick, who's an OBGYN, decides to be a good sport and get to know Paul better. Can a family add a new member? Now, as it said in the trailer, this is directed by Lisa Cholodenko, and Cholodenko also did Cave Dweller. She also did Laurel Canyon and High Art, so she's made a couple of notable movies that we kind of talked about on here, but this is actually the last film she ever directed. I don't know whatever happened to her. I don't know if she just decided to go on to do something else, but she basically went to television. She did Olive Kitteridge and also Unbelievable, which I've not seen any one of those, but hey, she went out on a high note, because this is a really good, heartfelt movie. It's a very entertaining film. 5 really good performances all across the board. And Annette Bening and Julianne Moore, they work together well as this lesbian couple. And Mark Ruffalo was really good in here, too. And you also see a lot of the range that both Wasikowska and Josh Hutcherson have that they will later use down the road. It's a really good movie. It's a very good, heartfelt film. It's a film that works very well. It's a film that is very enjoyable. Has a lot of good funny moments. Has a lot of good dramatic moments. It doesn't go for the predictable, cliched routes. Like, this thing got nominated for several Oscars, including Best Picture. Not one of those great movies that was better than the actual Best Picture winner. I really like it. I really like this movie a lot. It's a terrific film, a very fun film, very funny, very dramatic. It just works all across the board. The kids are all right, and this movie is more than all right.
There's one thing you should know about me. I specialize in a very specific type of security. Subconscious security.
You talking about dreams?
Mr. Carl has a job offer he would like to discuss with you.
Like a work placement?
Not exactly. We create the world of the dream. We bring the subject into that dream, and they fill it with their secrets.
Then you break in and steal it.
Well, it's not strictly speaking legal. It's called Inception. I'm ready. I think I found a way home. And this last job, that's how I get there. Dreams feel real while we're in them. It's only when we wake up that we realize something is actually strange.
This is your responsibility. You're not prepared for this.
Have it under control. I'd hate to see out of control.
You mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling.
I mean, what more can you say after that? Welcome to Time About the Movies, and Two big movies today as we look at the two films of July 16, 2010. None bigger than Christopher Nolan's long-anticipated follow-up to The Dark Knight, and that is Inception, in which we have Leonardo DiCaprio starring as Dom Cobb, a thief who enters the dreams of people to steal ideas from them. The things he's done has cost him a lot of things, most notably his children and his dead wife, played by Marion Cotillard. A man named Solito, played by Ken Watanabe, comes in and tells him he wants to put an idea inside a man named Robert Fisher, played by Cillian Murphy, and with the help of Cobb's team, including Arthur, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, a college student named Aradane, played by Ellen Page, an architect named Nash, played by Lucas Haas, and a forger named Eames, played by Tom Hardy. They must put the idea in his mind before it's too late. And really, that trailer kind of gives you a good sum up of what you're going to get from the movie, because the movie is fucking amazing. This is probably my third or fourth favorite movie of the year. I'd have to double check after the year is over, but yeah, this is definitely one of the highlights of the year. It's not a perfect movie, but it's a movie that works nearly 95% of the time. What about that 5%? Let's talk about the three main problems I have with the movie, and one of them is kind of with Marion Cotillard as the villain. I mean, I like her as an actress. I've seen her in some good movies, but this was just around that time when some of these movies were trying way too hard to get these people who clearly should not be playing villainous roles and proving that they can't really make it work. There's some that can make it. There's more than a couple that can make it work. Ava Green, for example, is somebody who can make a good villainous person work. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Ava Green is somebody who could play a villainous role and make it work. Marion Cotillard is somebody that I just didn't feel like really fit the mold as the villain. I mean, they did this not once but twice in Christopher Nolan movies, because she's also kind of a villain in The Dark Knight Rises that comes out after this, and I just didn't feel like her performance in this as the antagonist really didn't work all that well. Not to say she's bad in here. She's okay, but it's just kind of like when she has to play the villain, it just didn't work for me. To the quick character development of Ellen Page's character. I know they have to move the story along, but when they introduce her, they don't even give us a minute to really get to know the character. They just kind of throw her in there, and like we're supposed to already know who she is. I mean, this isn't like when Aaron Eckhart or, Maggie Gyllenhaal gets introduced in The Dark Knight, because they're playing characters that we know about. We don't know anything about this character per se. That scene in the trailer is literally the first time we see her. It's just like I don't want to see a long scene in particular, but you could have had it a little bit longer than that. I mean, then again, it could have been worse. They could have done it like the flower shop scene in The Room, where Tommy Wiseau goes in there. It's just like, just goes on this long, continuous dialogue tribe, and just like, nobody has any time to take a break or anything. It's just like, yeah, can I have a dozen red roses, please? Oh, hi, Johnny, I didn't know you were there. Here you go. That's me. Hi, here's some money. Keep the change. Hi, doggy. You're my favorite customer. Thanks a lot. Bye. Like, at least they didn't do that in particular. And the biggest problem I have with the movie is the ending. Not even for the last shot of the movie with the totem, but in the end when everybody's waking up from all 4 or 5 different dreams. Like, some people have died, some people have decided to stay in the dream, then all of a sudden everybody's on the plane alive, and I'm wondering to myself, what the hell happened? Did one of those guys say if you die in Inception, you die for real? I mean, it took me time to really think about it, because that was my first time watching it the first time. But then when I went back to it, I still felt like that there was still something missing there. Like, it just didn't feel like I don't know, the way the end of the mission overall kind of was lacking in general. It's a cool looking sequence, everybody waking up through all these different forms of the dream and all that, but I just didn't feel like they really had a good motivation towards the end of how to finish that up there. But again, that's only some of the stuff I didn't like about the movie, but there is a lot I did like. The acting is great overall. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Tom Hardy, Ellen Page, Ken Watanabe, Cillian Murphy, Marion Cotillard. I mean, the standouts in here are Gordon-Levitt and Tom Hardy. I mean, this is the movie that really shows that both of them were on their way to great careers, especially Tom Hardy. Look at what he's done since then. And also Joseph Gordon-Levitt, too. I mean, you gotta love him. I mean, the guy very rarely makes a bad move on his part. Even when, he's not the worst thing about those bad things, but the story overall is a good idea. Entering somebody's dreams so they can plant an idea in there. And that's a good idea for a story. And the visuals are top-notch. These are very good visuals. I mean, this is stuff that still holds up 15 years later. And just like, whoa. Like, how... Like, you would think it would have gotten old by now. But no, 15 years later, that shit still holds up big time. And yeah, it would have been interesting if they shot this in 3D, because, you know, this was part of that big 3D trend in general. I'm actually kind of surprised we haven't gotten some real bad post-production 3D, which is probably why they didn't do it. They probably didn't do it because they were already shooting the film, and, you know, they didn't know how good post-production 3D was going to be, so Christopher Nolan probably went, yeah, we'll steer away from that. Actually, come to think of it, I don't think he's ever done a 3D movie. I don't know if Interstellar counts as a 3D film. Maybe not. Maybe he's never done a 3D film before. Maybe that's why it's probably for the best, though, because, like I said, post-production 3D we've seen already with a couple of movies don't really work all that well, and, yeah, that's probably the smartest move not to do that, but I do like the film overall. There are slim problems overall, but it's still a great original movie, which is very rare to get at this point during the summer season, and especially nowadays. I mean, even the original movies now this summer have not done very well, unfortunately. Seriously, go see Elio if you have not seen that already. But Christopher Nolan delivers another winner, man. I mean, this is like The Prestige. It's a movie that makes you think and gives you a good, entertaining movie with a lot of good talent all across the board. I mean, it's a really damn good movie. This is right up there with Christopher Nolan's best movies. It's easily one of the best movies of the year. And again, another movie that should have won the Best Picture and not named The King's Speech. And trust me, I'm going to keep bringing that up here because I'm sorry. The King's Speech is the worst Best Picture winner ever. But we will save that until we get to that movie's release. But in the meantime, let's take a look at the other movie we have this weekend. Disney putting out a movie that, like I said, sort of feels similar to this in terms of the first trailer alone. But it's still an interesting movie nonetheless. Let's take a look at The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
What you just did is impossible.
I have been searching all over the world for you. You are going to be a force for good and a very important sorcerer. But for now, you're my apprentice.
I'm a what?
Step inside. You leave everything else behind. Once you enter, there is no going back.
Sweet.
Let's go. There's more to learn.
Are you insane?
So that trailer gives you a little bit of the fun ideas that can be done with this movie, but this one didn't really do the best business in general. But then again, when you're opening up on the same weekend as Inception, and like I said, it's a movie that literally looks like Disney's trying to copy the movie that's going to be the big hit before it even comes out. Because, I mean, it literally looks like elements are taken from Inception and adding in a little bit of magic into it. But this is The Sorcerer's Apprentice, and this is based off, of course, of the 1940 Fantasia short segment featuring Mickey Mouse as the Sorcerer's Apprentice, where, you know, you have all the moments where he's like playing around with the book and he makes the brooms come to life, which they do in this movie, which is a nice little homage. But in this case, we have the story here about Balthazar Blake, played by Nicolas Cage, who's one of Merlin's three apprentices, who trains a young college student named Dave, played by Jay Baruchel, coming off of his success of How to Train Your Dragon earlier in the year, to become a sorcerer after Blake's long search for the Prime Merlinian. They have to avoid another one of Merlin's apprentices who has turned evil, played by Alfred Molina, second time we've seen him in a Jerry Bruckheimer production this summer after Prince of Persia, who wants to find a Grimhold holding both the third apprentice, played by Monica Bellucci, and the evil sorceress, played by Alice Kree. The latter in which Horvath wants to unleash on present-day New York to raise the evil sorceress back from the dead and destroy all humanity. And I think the main problem with the movie from the get-go is the first 5 minutes, which feel really unnecessary since the scenes could have been added in different parts of the movie to move the story along better. But other than that, though, I didn't hate the movie. I thought it was actually kind of fun. Back then when I saw it, I thought it was kind of fun. And even when I watched it again recently for the video I did about the best Disney live-action remakes, ranking the best and worst ones, I didn't think it was that bad of a movie in general. In fact, I thought it was overall a good, fun summer movie in general. I thought Nicolas Cage was pretty good in this. He actually was having a nice comeback year with this and Kick-Ass. I thought Alfred Molina was pretty good as the villain in here. Jay Baruchel is fine here, but he does get annoying pretty fast. I mean, this is pretty much what everyone thought he was going to be like when he was in How to Train Your Dragon. I feel like putting this out just after How to Train Your Dragon kind of hurt in the long run for him. You got Teresa Palmer in here, Monica Bellucci. They're pretty good in here. Teresa Palmer was playing the love interest to Jay Baruchel's character. And I just realized she's also in She's Out of My League, too, which was another movie that was kind of not bad, but not great either. The only person I really thought was really annoying was Toby Kebbell as Drake Stone. And he's kind of like playing the apprentice to the villain of the movie, which, yeah, right away, he gets on your nerves so quickly, and it's just like, he gets annoying on the levels of Drop Dead Fred, Rick Mayall's character in that movie. I mean, that's how bad he really is. Some of the visuals can look pretty cool. The great visual effects in there, like including that bird that comes off of the Empire State Building that Cage rides on. And then there's some visuals that just kind of are not that great, like the dragon attacking Chinatown's pretty lame. And even that callback with the brooms and the dancing sequence there. A lot of people really hated that scene, but I never really minded it. Back then, it was just kind of like, I thought it was pretty good. And even now, it's just kind of like, it's not the best, but it's not the worst. It reminds me of the Pink Elephant the Pink Elephant's homage in Dumbo, Tim Burton's Dumbo, which most people kind of were okay with, but at the same time, a lot of people were just kind of like, this is really lame. But for what it was, I thought it worked overall. And it's just a mixed bag of a movie. It's a fun film. It kind of reminded me of a much better Percy Jackson and the Olympians, but overall, it's an okay movie. Nicolas Cage, I thought, was pretty good, and the visuals were kind of a mixed bag, as was Jay Baruchel, but it's not a great movie, but it's not a bad movie either. Mixed opinion, but more leaning towards a positive than a negative, so take that for what you will. So that is The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Today, a Russian agent will kill the president. The name of the agent is Evelyn Salt.
My name is Evelyn Salt.
Then you are a Russian spy.
Somebody is setting me up!
Stop!
You got me?
She had the drop on me. Why didn't she shoot?
You think everyone's who they say they are?
Salt.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the two new releases on July 23rd, 2010. And of course the biggest of the two releases is Angelina Jolie in Salt, in which she plays Evelyn Salt, a CIA agent who's framed as a Russian spy and sent to take out the Russian president at the funeral of the American vice president. She has to clear her name before the CIA takes her in, which sounded like a cool idea back before the movie came out, but I remember really not liking this movie back then. In fact, I downright hated it. I hated it because of a number of different things I'm going to bring up here because, let's be honest, I tried to give this a fair shot. It's been 15 years since I've seen this movie. I don't remember really liking it all that much. I had no reason to go back to watch it. But considering that 15 years had passed, I figured why not give it another shot. So I got a chance to watch it again. And sadly, my thoughts on it really have not changed on it. I mean, it's a cool idea for a movie, and it's directed by the guy who made Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, The Saint. Philip Noyce is a great action director, and so is Angelina Jolie. She's badass. I mean, how can this possibly be bad whatsoever? Well, unfortunately, it's bad, but also it's really boring. It's just a bad movie. It's a really, really bad film. First of all, like I said, they don't even hide the fact that she's a Russian spy. Like, they tell you right from the get-go, she doesn't even try to hide it. Like, in the first 20, 30 minutes of the movie, she's already revealed to be this Russian spy, and it's just like, I mean, there's no point in clearing your name anymore, because you literally just said that you were, and you've changed your whole identity altogether, and, I mean, that's the first thing that's wrong with it. The second thing is that the stuff that should be cool about this movie, the non-action sequences are bland and boring as hell. I don't buy any character in this movie whatsoever. You can tell who the bad guy's going to be right away just by the specific moves he makes. Like, the action sequences are not that great either. This is the same guy that made Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, and The Saint. A good action director should not be making action sequences this uninteresting and boring. And even the acting overall isn't that great. It's just... And don't even get me started on that ending. The ending is where the film just really falls off the cliff here. And it's just like, they really ran out of ideas for this right away. They had the idea of Angelina Jolie is playing a Russian spy, and it's got we got director Philip Noyce. The rest will write itself, and sadly that is not the case here. But there's only two things I could say that are really good about it. Angelina Jolie and Chiwetel Ejiofor. I thought both of them worked off each other very well. I thought they were very good in their respective roles, and you believe those characters. But other than that, though, everybody else in here was just so boring. It's a very convoluted plot where too much is going on, where something like this should be as simple as you can get, and the action sequences should be much better than you think they would be. And just like, there's just no excuse for how bad this is. I mean, this is unbelievably awful. It's a movie that I really was expecting a lot more from, and I'm thinking, it's been 15 years. Hopefully, maybe it's aged like a fine wine. It has not aged well at all. It still is about as bad, as boring as you can get. What more can you say, man? It's a pile of garbage. It's a movie that has not held up well. I gave it the benefit of the doubt, and it completely screwed me over on that. So yeah, Angelina Jolie, you made better movies than this, but this is just going too far, man. This is just not a good movie. And so that's all for you. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is our last one actually, and that is Ramona and Beezus.
Full of ups and downs. Sometimes all we need to succeed is a big imagination.
It can be extraordinary. I'm glad we agree.
And a big sister.
Every princess needs a little sparkle.
Don't miss Selena Gomez.
You don't worry about coloring inside the lens, It depends on the picture.
In Ramona and Beezus, Friday at 7 on Nickelodeon.
And it was on Nickelodeon, apparently. I didn't even realize that was a promo until it got to the very end there. But this is a Ramona and Beezus based off of the books of the same name. We have Joey King playing Ramona Quimby, who's a grade school student with a big imagination. So big, in fact, that she often clashes with her no-nonsense teacher, Mrs. Meacham. While Ramona's upbeat dad, Robert, loses his job, the family, including her teenage sister, Beezus, played by Selena Gomez, and their practical-minded mother, must make major adjustments, like Dad learning how to run the house, Ramona dreaming up various plans to make money so that she can save the house. But because everybody in their family seems too preoccupied to help her with her own worries, she turns to the one person who always has time for her Aunt Bee. But even Aunt Bee is distracted these days because of her ex-boyfriend, the Quimby's next-door neighbor, Hobart. So yeah, I really know nothing about these books in general. They're books based off of books by Beverly Cleary. I know who she is. The director, this is the same person who did Aquamarine, which was fine for its target audience. And like I said, I know nothing about this movie in particular, but this is a G-rated movie too. This is this is only the Fox's fourth G-rated film since 1997. I mean, that's when you know the G rating was sadly kind of dying out in general, because there'd only be a couple more movies coming out after this that would have that G rating, but then everybody just said PG or upward. Don't even think about putting a G rating on this for some reason, which, if you're not going to use it, then why the hell do you even still have it? But that's beside the point here. Good cast overall in here. John Corbett and Bridget Monahan playing the mother and father here. Jennifer Goodwin is Aunt Beatrice. Josh Duhamel's in here. Sandra Oh is the teacher, Mrs. Meacham. I mean, really, there's not much more I can really add to this per se. It's a movie that you think it is. It's not really made for somebody like me or somebody who was 21 when this came out. It's not really my type of thing, but it's a harmless kids movie, and I think it does work because you do buy the chemistry between King and Gomez as these sisters in general, and I think they do work off each other very well. Selena Gomez does get an opportunity to shine here and get a chance to show that she's got some acting chops here. Not really much more I can add to this per se. I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, it's not made for me. Kind of like with Aquamarine. For its target audience, it works fine. But for somebody like me, it's fine for what it is. But I really have no intention of ever watching it again after this. But not a bad movie, but just not made for me personally. So that is Ramona and Beezus.
What makes the perfect dinner?
Probably fireworks.
Cabbage.
Penguins.
Strippers.
Holiday sex.
Oh man, they are planning one hell of a party.
On July 30th, the director of Meet the Parents invites you
I'd like to introduce Louis and his wife, Diane.
Your wife?
For now.
to the most exclusive party of the year.
Oh my God! He's friends with Morgan Freeman.
Dinner for Schmucks.
So please, you could join us.
I can't understand your accent.
Rated PG-13 in theaters July 30th.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we're taking a look at the 3 films that wrap up July 2010. And we're starting off with our biggest new release, and that is Dinner for Schmucks. It stars Steve Carell and Paul Rudd, along with an assortment that includes Jermaine Clement, Jeff Dunham, Bruce Greenwood, and Ron Livingston, as it tells the story of a rising executive who finds out that his work superiors host a dinner celebrating the idiocy of their guests. He questions it whether he's invited, and just as he befriends a friend, who would be the perfect guest for it? That's, of course, Steve Carell. And directed by Jay Roach, who gave us Meet the Parents. This is based off of another one of these movies by this guy, Francis Weber, who they've made remakes to his movies before, and most of them have not been very good. I think he did Three Fugitives, which was one that came out back in 1989. There's a couple of other ones, too. I can't think of them off the top of my head right now. My Father the Hero was another one. He has made some good movies that eventually did become good films overall. The Birdcage, which was a remake of La Cage aux Folles. The Toy was a fun movie. The Man with One Red Shoe. But yeah, most of the stuff I see here, Buddy Buddy, remember that? Billy Wilder's last movie as the director. Father's Day, that infamously bad Robin Williams, Billy Crystal comedy. Pure Luck, that Martin Short, Danny Glover movie that you don't remember. The Valet, I don't even know what that movie is. It's a comedy that came out in 2022 with Eugenio Dubrev, so yeah, but bottom line here is that most of this guy's work has not translated very well to the big screen. There's been some good stuff here and there, but it has not translated very well to the big screen. And lo and behold, this movie does not really translate all that well. It's a movie that, it's a one-joke premise that you're supposed to build this up to this moment where they're going to this dinner with all these people that are supposed to be idiots, and it's supposed to be the big selling point of the movie, and yeah, it's the best part of the movie, but you're still sitting through over an hour's worth of film before you get to that point, and you're not laughing one time in this movie. I did not laugh a single time watching this movie. It's that bad of a film. Like, this is a lousy movie, man, and I expect a whole lot better from everybody involved in this. The fact that Jay Roach decided to do this instead of Little Fockers later in the year tells you something, but hey, at least this is better than Little Fockers is. Good lord, that movie's that's gonna be a fun little trip when we get to the end of the year. But when you get to the dinner, yeah, it's funny, but not enough to save the movie in general. I mean, this movie should have been so much better than it had any right to. This movie should have been so much better than the rest of the film, than what it is in that third segment. That's what I'm trying to say here. It's just like, okay, we're building this up so we can go to this dinner where we tell these people they're fucking idiots, pretty much. Why is that funny? Why is that humorous? Why is my time being wasted on this? It just wasn't funny. It just wasn't incredible. It wasn't amazing. It wastes all this good talent, and it just doesn't work. It's a terrible movie. It's not funny. It's not funny. Plain and simple. I did not like Dinner for Schmucks. So let's see if we can turn the tide with our next movie. Zac Efron starring in Charlie St. Cloud.
He's totally cute. He's weird. He's misunderstood. Like James Cameron.
What are you doing?
I was just looking at your boat. Sorry if I scared you.
You don't scare me.
Every evening, I play catch with my dead brother.
Drunk driver, wasn't it? Is that why you gave up sailing, Stanford, everything?
You like her. You like the sailor girl.
You should be out in the world living your life. I can do it. Would you please have dinner with me tonight? The more I'm in your world, the less I can be in his. You just have to believe it.
Charlie St. Cloud, rated PG-13, starts July 30th.
Why does that name sound like the thing you'd hear when you're trying to call somebody and you get you get the secretary for that company on the phone? It's just like, hello, Charlie St. Cloud Incorporated. How can we help you today? I mean, that's what I think of when I think of that title. But Zac Efron stars as Charlie St. Cloud, whose choice between keeping a promise made to his younger brother who died in a car accident or going after the girl he loves, played by Sex Drive's Amanda Crew. The story is using, it's based off of a book of the same name, and they've actually used that in other markets. Sometimes it's called The Death and Life of Charlie St. Cloud, and this was around that time when you had all these young stars taking on these more dramatic roles. Most of them did not work. Remember Me. You remember that for another reason altogether, not because the movie was great, but because of the fuck you insult to 9/11 at the end. The Last Song, I didn't think it was that bad, but I didn't think it was that great either. This film, kind of in the same wavelength as the Last Song in particular. It's not a great movie, but it got a bad reception when it came out back in the day, but I don't think it's terrible. I just think it's incredibly melodramatic. I mean, yeah, we want to see Zac Efron tackle more of these more adult roles and step outside of that High School Musical territory that he was in. And he even has the same director who worked with him on 17 Again, which came out the year before, if I'm correct on that. Yeah, it's that same director. And he also did Igby Goes Down, which was a movie I actually did kind of enjoy. So the pieces are definitely there for something good, and I'm not going to say the movie is terrible by any means. It's just a movie that has a lot of problems. It's mostly in the scripting. This is one of those movies where the scripting, they can't decide on a specific tonal identity that they want to go with here. Do they want to go for a very melodramatic movie, or do they want to go for something on the lines of Ghost in a way, like a movie where Zac Efron's character can still connect with his younger brother even though he's dead and in the afterlife. Like, it can't decide which direction it wants to go with, and I really don't think the movie really helps itself out in terms of the way it's written. And Zac Efron's doing the best he can with this. It's not really his fault the movie is bad. It's just the script overall just doesn't feel like I said, it doesn't feel like the tonal shift, the tonal identity is there. Like, I don't know. Like, to me, I didn't hate it, but I get why people say it's not that great in general. And you kind of expect a whole lot more considering the talent on board with, considering the fact that this director got magic from Zac Efron the last time they worked together. But in the end, it just didn't really deliver what it promised. Kind of like with The Last Song. Not a bad movie, but certainly not a great movie either. A very mixed opinion on Charlie St. Cloud. Now, would you believe me if I told you that the best movie that comes out this weekend is our last movie, and that is, of all things, Cats and Dogs, The Revenge of Kitty Galore?
Agent 127 breaking radio silence. I have spotted Kitty Galore.
Your mission will be revealed at HQ. This squirrel will self-destruct, but first, a little dance.
Next summer. How you doing, Big Shot?
Fine, good. No, not good. Yeah, I'm gonna barf.
To take on a new breed of evil.
I will enslave all mankind.
Someone's having a bad hair day.
Two sworn enemies will have to do the unthinkable.
Cats and dogs will have to work together.
I know. Shocking, right? Now, I'm not going to say this is a great movie or anything, or even on the same wavelength as the first Cats and Dogs, which was a surprisingly fun movie overall, but considering what this was, think about what this was. A sequel coming 9 years after the original film. Who cares about Cats and Dogs at this point? It wasn't even playing on TV back in the day, and yet somebody out there said, let's make another one. Why not? It worked the first time around. Hey, we'll get the director who did Journey to the Center of the Earth. Bring him on board. Was that even the same director? Okay, I was a little off. This is actually not the director of Journey to the Center of the Earth. However, he directed Journey to the Mysterious Island. So, I'm a movie late on that, but I was right. Almost, but in the follow-up to the 2001 film, a hairless kitty named Kitty Galore, voiced by Bette Midler, plans to turn dogs against humans using a soundbite known as the Call of the Wild on all dogs. Cats and dogs are now forced to work together to stop Galore from taking over mankind. It's up to Butch, now voiced by Nick Nolte, a police dog named Diggs, played by James Marsden, a pigeon named Seamus, voiced by Cat Williams, and a cat named Catherine, played by Christina Applegate, to save the day. And yeah, as much as the sequel of this being made now is very questionable, it worked. It worked for what it was trying to accomplish. I mean, It's a silly, fun summer movie. It's a movie that's kind of reminds me a lot of last summer's G-Force in a way. It's not a great movie, but you could tell effort was being put into it, especially considering this was a 3D release, and you could tell that they used the 3D cameras in here really well. I mean, the 3D in here looked pretty good, surprisingly. The visuals are pretty impressive. I mean, they could have easily just made a cheap cash grab sequel. They could have pulled a Son of the Mask with this, but they don't do that with this one. The voice work as a whole is really good. Bette Midler, pitch-perfect casting as Kitty galore. I mean, she knocked it out of the park with this. You got Neil Patrick Harris replacing Tobey Maguire as Lou, and even though you don't hear a whole lot of him in this, he's actually not that bad in here. Neither is Roger Moore, who's also in here. The rest of the cast is doing pretty good, too. The only exception, really, is Nick Nolte as Bush, which, of course, if you remember, in the original film, he was played by Alec Baldwin. And it just didn't seem like he was really trying in this movie to really kind of mirror what Alec Baldwin sounded like in the first movie. At least Neil Patrick Harris tried, and he did a decent job with it, but this, not so much with Nick Nolte. It felt like he didn't want to be there. He only took this because of a paycheck. One of the things I like about it is that it's a relatively short movie. It's only 82 minutes long, and of all things in this movie, not one single fart joke in this. This is the 2000s. This is when movies were pretty much kids' movies were forced to have one fart joke in there or multiple fart jokes, and there's not one in this movie. That's more than enough to say this is one you should definitely see, but there are still a lot of problems to it. Like I said, Nick Nolte's not that great in here. Sometimes the special effects aren't that great either. There's scenes where the dogs look like they're puppets, and some where the cats look bad too. Chris O'Donnell, as much as he's trying to make this work, it really does feel like he does not want to be in this movie either. It's just like, he feels like he's in another movie, honestly. And yeah, the story really isn't all that great. It is kind of reminiscent of something like a G-Force, but it is definitely, the whole bottom line here with this movie is that Cats and Dogs is a much better movie than you could possibly expect from the trailers that were coming out. Even though it does have a lot of its problems, it's still a fun movie. If you like the first one and even have some inkling to see what the second film has to offer, you might be surprised. You might be surprised at how actually good it is. But no matter how much I praise this movie for, or even say it's a good movie overall, let's be honest. I'm going to be honest with you. There was only one reason I went to go see this movie in theaters. Goddamn right I went to go see this for the new Looney Tunes short. Honestly, if I could have, I would have walked out after the short was over, because just like, I got my money's worth, because as you can see, that's Coyote Falls, the first of several Looney Tunes CG shorts they were trying to put out there in front of these 3D movies. It was actually the first theatrically released 3D Looney Tunes short since back in 1953 with Lumberjack Rabbit, but simple setup. Wile E. Coyote is over a bridge, and he decides to trick the Roadrunner through all these various circumstances, and it leads to hijinks and hilarity ensuing. My only problem with this is that it's way too short. It's only 3 minutes long, and I'm so used to the Looney Tunes shorts that are 7 minutes long. They add more and more jokes to it, but at the same time, I'm not going to complain about a new Looney Tunes short in 2010. Like, I'm so glad we're getting some Looney Tunes stuff now, even though Warner Brothers doesn't want to release it because they clearly have a problem with the Looney Tunes, and by Warner Brothers I mean David Zaslav. I don't know what you did to him, Bugs, but you really effed him up. That's why he's always right there, so you know he means serious business. But yeah, Coyote Falls. That's the only real reason I went to go see the movie, and like I said, I could have easily just left after that, but hey, you got a decent Cats and Dogs movie out of it, so made it worth it in the end overall. And that's not the last time we'll see Wile E. and the Roadrunner on the big screen in 2010, but more on that in September.